What is up, everyone? Welcome to Mechs on Deck. Today we are joined by a very special guest, Mr. Reagan from SpaceCables. How you doing, my dude?
Doing good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing well. Doing well. What about you, Chewy?
I'm tired. I'll be honest. You can even tell. Like my eyes look heavy.
I'm with you on that.
So, everyone is like a shade of orange or red in my chat right now, and it's driving me crazy because I don't like orange and red. Anyway, hello everyone. OZ Obsessions, Ukulele Dad, Aloha, Nathan Alphaman, Keeb Noob, G Willet, XO Squid. If you guys did not get a chance, Keeb Noob gave had an awesome time on IME URU's stream last night. We'd raided into them, but I would go back and check that VOD because the parts that I was able to listen to, I thoroughly enjoyed. So excited to go back and rewatch that probably this weekend.
Who are you guys, and why do you have crowns and M's in your name? What? Oh, he's talking about Twitch chat. I was like, wait, what? What are they talking about? Oh, yeah, that's subs, and that's our sub badge. And then the crown is, I think, Prime. You got Prime sub.
Yeah, you have Prime sub. What's up, Alex Odos? Mr. Odos in the house, blessing us with his stash presence.
Hey,
so,
Alex. Hey, Alex.
Hey, Alex. But guys, this is SpaceCables. He has been around for a hot minute. He is a fellow Texan. He is really pioneered a lot of the key set matching cables. He has now ventured into being a full-time, I guess not now, but for a minute now, doing a lot, branching out, doing a lot more stuff that of more of a standard vendor would do. So definitely excited to see more people becoming vendors and broadening their horizons. So welcome, Mr. Space Cables. Clap. We need to start clapping for people. For those who don't know, Cyrus and I are huge fans of the Pat McAfee show. And if we could do that, I think we would just be in heaven, just screaming at people. But
we just need a collection of like 6 or 7 people that just will like randomly say things with us.
Exactly.
Like how they have like Stooge and sell out.
And just screaming, clap. We need to get that. We need to get like the mechs on. We'll start. I'll start next. Maybe not. All right, here we go. All right. So, guys, SpaceCables from Austin, Texas. Welcome to Mechs on Deck. Woo!
Setting some trends here.
There we go.
There you go.
Started it up. Thank you for all the new followers. Welcome. There's some energy. My wife is on a phone call, so I'm sure that didn't help. But welcome. Before we get started, a quick shout out to our awesome sponsors and partners: OmniType, Canon Keys, Project Keyboard, Zap Cables, Type Beast, and Smith & Rune. We'll hear more from them later. So, guys, this is Mr. SpaceCables. He does some awesome stuff. Space, what is it now? It's Space Holdings. Space Holdings.
Yeah, there's a story behind that.
We'll dive into that. But
yeah, we'll have to ask about that.
We'll dive into that, but
it's not a cool story. It's just a story.
Hey, I think it's a cool story. I haven't even heard it yet. It's probably the coolest story I'm going to hear today. So I would like to start off with our Fast Four with your top 4 favorite switches.
Okay. I'm going to preface this by saying that I am young in the hobby. And by young, I just mean not super OG. I've been to exactly 1 meetup prior to not leaving my house for the last year. So I'm going to be generic here, and I'm going to go with what I've really typed on and experienced for myself. So that's going to have to be, in no order, banana splits, alpacas, creams, and I'd probably have to say retooled blacks. And I haven't typed on vintage blacks, but Alex is sending me some, so I'm going to say retooled blacks. but those are just classic and smooth.
There you go. Were you at the last Austin meetup, the one that Tyson held?
Yes.
I wonder if I met you there because I was there.
I was there. You know what? I probably did. Like, I know what's funny is like
I was around.
Were you there late?
I don't know
Not
because
like
I drove
extremely late.
not super late. We were there for a good couple hours.
You like drove
we
down
drove
and back.
we drove down and then turned around and we are like, well, let's just head back. Like, it's like, yeah, it's 3 hours, but it's like, whatever.
Yeah, I showed up at like 9:30 and there was like 20 people there, 25 people there.
I may have not been that late. It's been a minute. So,
well, what I was saying is like, it's funny because I've seen plenty of mechs on deck. I know what you guys look like, but when you said I was at the Austin meetup, now I feel like I actually did see you. But maybe I'm just like I'm just putting that into my
who
head.
knows? I mean, what's funny is we've talked about this. So, for those who don't know, Eric's like 4 inches taller than me. I'm 5'11". Eric's really tall, but I'm also really easy to spot from out of a crowd because it's like, oh, long hair, beard, like I've seen you. And then at the meetup, at the NorCal meetup, people, it's like they walked in and they would walk past Eric. They walk past Eric and be like, "Hey, Mechs on deck. Where's Eric?" And I'd be like, "He's literally right behind you." And then they go.
Yeah. It's funny. People will always assume that I'm shorter than you too because you're taller than me sitting down.
I've got super short fucking legs.
Are you just all torso?
Oh yeah, super tall torso. I'm like that much taller than him sitting down. It's hilarious.
It's funny when like we'll be sitting down, meet someone, and then we'll both get up, and it's like he gets to a certain point, and then I keep rising, and it's like,
what the fuck?
Oh whoa, yeah. No offense taken there, Nathan. But yeah, I'm 6'2", almost 6'3", which is funny because like I'm relatively tall, but for me, because my dad is 6'4", my brother's 6'7", I've always like not really felt like I'm that tall. So
and you also wear boots a lot, not like
Yeah.
cowboy boots, but like regular boots. And then up until like a year ago, I wore Toms like almost exclusively. So I've always been I always feel, and like what was funny, so Cyrus was the best man at my wedding, and the officiant is taller than Eric, so I just looked like some short dude standing
like
at the
a gradient.
Yeah, it was like, and he wears cowboy boots everywhere, so he's like 6'6" in his cowboy boots, and we're just like, I'm like, cool, like, thanks guys. So but yeah, so those are some solid switches though. I haven't gotten a chance to try the banana splits yet, although they did have a little
splitting
did you have any of the splitting issues?
No.
I know there was like a very small handful, and I think it did get kind of blown out of proportion. Because all it needs to happen is one thing. Yeah, I mean, maybe somebody reported on it and made it a big deal. I don't know, but I mean, if it happens to one, it can happen to anybody, right? So,
But next up will be, what are your top favorite key sets?
Okay, so the set that really caught my eye when I was, again, really young into the hobby, this is 2019. I sort of springboarded into the hobby through drop, just because I didn't really have a gateway. That's how I segued into it. Was my buddy was like, get a mechanical keyboard, and hey, like, check out Mito's Pulse set, check out this, and you see like, oh, Laser ran some time ago. So I really got into Laser. I really like sought after that set, and that was the first, I guess, GMK set that I got, and so I'll have to put that on the list. I like a lot of Mito's work. I'll have to also say Aether is definitely one of my favorite sets. Got to support my boy Alex for sure. I got to see that kind of get designed from start to finish, go through iterations, and yeah, I am. You can call me an Alex simp. I will.
I mean, who isn't?
Tattoo that. I'll tattoo that on
isn't?
me. I'm an Alex simp for sure.
Most attractive man in keyboards.
Yes. So then I also would like to support Apiary and say like Noir is my most like anticipated group buy set right now that I'm entered in. I really like it. I like that it's not white, but it's also kind of got just that, I don't know, kind of beige-ish looking color, kind of sandy tone to it. I really like that in a set. And then I'll have to go with Bento. I really like Beep as a designer. I feel like Beep doesn't miss with his sets. So I'm kind of all over the place in like minimal sets and kind of the super vibrant like laser spectrum of sets in the community. I'm pretty diverse.
Mhm.
So
I wouldn't. I couldn't tell that you were vibrant with your fucking neon lightsaber in the background.
Dude,
yeah.
that thing's sick.
Yeah.
Also, I want to say quick shout out to you for making your bed, because
Right?
if my setup was in my room, my bed would.
Am I the only one around here who makes their goddamn bed?
Yeah, but you
I have
like
to.
you're just like comforter and that's it, right? So you just like throw that
Yeah,
on top and then
yeah.
you're
It's
good.
not even a comforter; it's a goddamn bedspread.
Yeah, there's like a running thing on Keebcast where people just roast me because I like am in a hotel room. Like I get a briefcase and load all my stuff into it and bring this TikTok light, and then I do Keebcast from like a local hotel every week or something. But yeah, no, I have to make my bed, or just like if I come home to it, it's just like nice.
When you come home to a clean place, it's like stress just falls off. You're like, okay, I'm home and I don't have anything to do. Yeah, and G Willard, I'll make an addendum, not an addendum. What's the word I'm looking for? A statement of change. Alex Odos is the most handsome streamer, but I do think Nathan Alphaman, that man, just maybe it's the ring light, but you know, like when I feel like he's staring into my soul, and I love it.
I love Nathan too.
So,
Yeah.
but mustache was tingling for Alex. I love it. But next up, we've got switches, we've got caps. What are your top 4 favorite boards?
Okay. So while I do not physically own one yet, I want to say in 2020, like the last month, I got a Mr. Wilba hit me up and he was like, "You want a thermal?" I was like, "You know what? I do want a thermal."
When Wilba hits you
So,
up for a thermal, you say yes.
I was like, "You know what? I guess." No, I was actually I'm very excited. So that's coming in. While I haven't personally typed on it, I have heard plenty of stuff, and it's like a highly anticipated board, and I'm gonna own it whenever they decide to ship that out. The first nice board I ever got, and this one holds a spot to me, is my M65A that I bought from. What's the vendor who sold that in the U.S. for Rama?
Key clack.
Yeah,
Key Clack.
Key clack.
Okay.
I think that's the name.
Yeah. So I got the dark version of the Rama M65A, and then I Cerakoted it, and like I don't have it here. I should have brought it, but this really nice. It's called it's called Indigo Montoya is the shade of purple, and it's like this. It's like this iridescent chameleon looking color, and it looks really really good. And I purpled it out. It's like over a black base coat to kind of match laser or other dark sets, but it can go some minimal sets as well.
The naming schemes on Cerakotes fucking get me. Like the one that I'm really feeling right now, I'm trying to find it. Jesse James Eastern Front Green.
Do you have a swatch with you?
I have, yes.
You've got the samples. The sample
I
swatches.
got the samples because I got a bunch of boards Cerakoted between my wife and myself. So
nice. What's cool is so there are actually 4 colors of Cerakote that have Jesse James in the title. There's like Civil Defense Gray, Civil Defense Blue, and like
which Civil Defense Gray is blue. It's like super blue.
Okay, yeah. So
which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of tones of Cerakote where you can look at it and you're like, oh, that's a gray blue, or like that's an orange purple. Like we've got a guy in our staff that is like, we call him the CEO of colors, because he can like look at purple and be like, this needs like some pink, and you're like, no, it doesn't. And then you add pink and it's like, holy crap, okay, pink worked. Like this guy it's like a color spectrometer or whatever the name for that utensil is. Fun fact is really cool. It's Jesse James. His shop is right next to our warehouses. Like
oh wow,
a quarter mile away, he has a shop, which I've never seen him there, but I drive by it every single day on the way in.
Yeah.
So M65A thermal. I got to borrow Tyson's Bauer for a week. It was lubed and filmed black inks on a polycarb plate with Modern Dolch on it, and that was really, really nice. That was the first time I got to try a polycarb plate. I gotta throw that in my list. I really like Omnitype, and we work together a lot, so gotta support him too. And
Were you
then
able to grab a bow around too?
hell no, I messaged him and I was like, "What's up on that friends and family?" And that fell through. I shouldn't have even asked. Yeah, I probably messaged him too late. I don't know. Maybe next time, or maybe there'll be an extra. Or maybe I'll get on like round
You
5
got the
for that.
Bauer Light. The Bauer Light's coming. That'll be a cool
Yeah,
board.
yeah, I'll definitely have to support him and grab it. And then I gotta support my man Chandler, dude. Like he came to our shop like about 2 months ago with One Creative Mind and Tyson, and then I think there was a couple other guys from the community there, and we were all socially distanced, and we were very careful and had hand sanitizer and stuff. But they came through and hung out, and yeah, so I got to support Chandler and say the Moon Tower. Moon Tower. That thing has got probably the sexiest booty in the community right now.
Dude,
Big
it
fan.
does.
We were talking it up last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big fan of that one.
Good boards. Good list of boards.
Good list of boards. It's funny because you talk about the M65A solarized edition, which I remember when those were still available on KeyClack, and they were like in the 500 range, I think. You could still buy them, and then on Mech Market, M65As were selling for like $700-800. You could literally just go buy one. Like, what are you doing?
Actually what's funny about that is I was sending Tyson, by the way, was one of my like first 4 friends in this entire community. And I was like, "Hey, I really want to get a high-end board. What do you recommend?" And talk to a few more people. I landed on an M65A, and so I was like scouring Mech Market, and he was like, "Check this out." And I was like, "In stock. Is this a Rama? Like, is this actually legit?" And it was a Solarized Dark. Is this like an AliExpress Rama? Like, what is this? Yeah, because it was like logoed with KeyClack stuff on it, and yeah, I got it.
Yeah, because he had a bunch
Nice.
of different editions. He had a red one and a purple one, and then he had the Tiffany blue one, which actually Garrett from Omnitype has one of the Tiffany blue ones.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was funny because I'd always see that and be like, they've got these still. Like, what are people doing? Like, you want a
Yeah,
nylon bottom, you couldn't get it from him, but like,
let's get that aftermarket.
yeah,
Yeah, I think they only had the Solarized Dark version, if I remember correctly, and I just grabbed that one. I was happy with it, super happy. Sounded
absolutely.
terrible when I built it. I had never lubed a switch. I put Telios in it. It was like peanut butter was in. Like I way overdid that. Like I should have watched the Teja video like 3 more times. But yeah.
So SViz, welcome to the stream, man. We got SpaceCables on here. So and then our last question: top 4 favorite foods.
Okay. So I will have to say barbecue. Barbecue. I'm sure you guys know
I
the
mean,
barbecue here.
you're in Austin, so makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Tex-Mex will have to be in that list. Like definitely. That's in my diet once every other week, like minimum. Just a good burger. Like there's a ton of burger places. Like we have P. Terry's here in Austin. I'm not sure if they've branched out of Austin yet or if you all are familiar, but just a local. It started out as a food trailer, and then they got, I want to say like 7 locations in Austin now. Really good burgers. And then the last one is Italian. Definitely Italian.
Very good.
I think we would be able to. I think we'd be able to find something to eat.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
What for the barbecue, are you a Black's barbecue guy? Or are you what's your favorite barbecue spot out there in Austin?
Man, usually to be honest, it's usually like we get like Rudy's when we're coming back from the Greenbelt kind of drunk. As funny as that is. So we just
Rudy's
usually
isn't
get
bad.
Rudy's. No, it's
Rudy's
just
isn't
one.
bad.
It's like conveniently placed at the exit to this like Greenbelt, these like lakes or rivers in Austin. So that's just kind of what we gravitate to. And I don't know if it's necessarily the Dos Equis or if like I don't know. I'm a fan of ribs from Rudy's and some potato salad. Like I could do that. Mm-hmm.
Nice. So, well, guys, again, this is SpaceCables. He started out making some pretty awesome cables and really pioneered that charge towards getting your entire desk aesthetic going and kind of being a cohesive. Just, I mean, our battle stations changed the game, right? with some of the stuff that this hobby has pumped out. So, welcome again to the show. I want to start by asking, how did you get into? You kind of touched on how you got into the hobby. How did you get into cable making?
Yeah, so I guess that kind of coincides with how I got into the hobby. I was a console gamer, a little bit. Like I gamed on console. I wasn't a console gamer, and I my buddy had just built a PC, and I really wanted to get into the PC. I was blind. I didn't know anything about it, so he kind of guided me, and we did PC part picker. We built us a PC. I got a Ducky 1.2 Mini because I don't know. That's just when you don't know anything about the keyboard community, there's like you guys know there's like 5 keyboards that people get, right? It's like a
Mhm.
Ducky, an An Pro, a Logitech something. Um, and then so my buddy who had got me into this actually started making cables like just for fun and was like, "Oh, check this out." And I was like, "Let's do this together." And he was like, "No, I'm just going to make these cables, bro. It's nothing big." And at the time at my old job, we work a lot with wires and stuff, and I was like, "Look, I do this much web development. I'm not like a full on web designer, but I did our website and know how to do that stuff." And I was like, if you really want to do something with this, I can help you get a website. I can help you with, like, I already know wires, everything there is to know about them. Well, not quite literally, but definitely more than he did at the time. And he was like, "No, man, it's not a big deal. Not stressing. I'm just going to do this myself." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna mess around with this." And he ended up like, stop doing it, kind of fizzled out. And I was doing it as a hobby when I came home from my 9 to 5. So I would get home at like 6 p.m. and I got like really, really into it. I wasn't making a whole lot of sales in this first month, but I was like building this website and I was kind of doing door to door sales and just making cables from 6 p.m. to about midnight. And just going super early into work the next day. But it all started with door to door sales. So that what that means to me is like I think I had around 30 or so followers on Instagram, and I was going on the explore pages and searching with hashtags, and I came across Alex Odos, and he had around 600 to 700 followers, and he had just posted his first 1 or 2 keyboard related pictures, or rather, it was entire desk aesthetic pictures. That's what he's
Yeah.
known for now. And I noticed he had like an Amazon just red braided cable, and I was like, "Hey, man, just sent him a DM. Do you want a cable?" And yeah, so I mean, I guess that's a bit of a longer explanation, but that's how I met Alex and started in the keyboard community. Was after that he posted it, it kind of snowballed, and that helped out. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So about almost, man, it'll be 2 years here pretty soon. Chewy and I did a video with John from Zap Cables where we built our first cables, and it was quite a trip. What was that? Was that experience like building your first cable? Did you struggle at all, or were you just like a natural from the get go?
So while I had never soldered, I worked with wires. I understood them. I understood continuity. Not that there's a whole lot to understand, um, but just how to do connectors in general with other wires. And that sort of coincides and crosses over into USB spec. And so while my first several cables didn't work, or rather were like a little bit functional, they progressively got better. But the first ones, terrible, absolutely terrible. So feel no shame in your not perfect cables.
Yeah. The hardest part I think for us was getting the sleeve
The
onto
actual
the
sleeve.
wire.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like we've brought in some people, and every time a new person starts and they're trying to grasp the concept of sleeving a cable, they're like, "This, I've done 3. It's been 87 minutes. Like what? Like we're going super slow." And I was like, "No, no, you'll figure it out. You'll be doing it, and then all of a sudden it'll click in your head, and you're like, oh, all right, we're cruising. We're doing like
Yeah.
mini an hour." And
There you
it's
go.
it's just motion. You got to do like 5 to 10, and then you're cruising.
Hmm. Makes sense. Yeah, and even because once I feel like it's harder to get started then once you kind of get started, and then like also like whenever I build cables, I've built probably 8 or 9 cables now, and I was I like sit in a whenever I sleeve, I'll just turn like a TV show on, and then I
Oh
sit
yeah.
in a chair where I can kind of spread the cable out really far on both sides, so it's not like all this just big fucked up mess like on my desk or something, and just sit
Yeah.
there and just kind of mind once you get the rhythm, it's kind of cool that you're just like, oh, and I'm done. Okay, that was
And
that
that's
was
that.
it. But then some sleeves are just tighter than that one. For what I learned from Zap is
Yeah.
like I'll be talking to him about it for doing a build on. He's like, you don't want to like convince them of another color.
Yeah. We've had it before on social media where there's a couple of colors where across the cable makers, you could, like, I don't know, I imagine if I was in a room with another cable maker and I was just making eye contact and we were just staring, not saying anything, and I just said seafoam, like they would know what I'm talking about. Like seafoam is terrible for sleeving. And there's a couple colors where like, you've never really heard seafoam in your entire life as far as, like I guess a common use in a sentence. So it's it haunts me. Like a couple colors are just absolutely terrible. We try to stay away from those. Yeah, the patterned ones are actually like defined as saying they're made differently. So they're like cross-threaded differently, they're dyed differently. What I'm convinced is some dyes affect it. Like some pigment in certain dyes will affect it, but
Like it
yeah,
makes it
some are
stiffer.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
order seafoam cables.
Yeah, you'll see
Absolutely.
those disappear from the options.
Do you have some, like, if like you're working with a designer to match for a key set? Do you have some where they ask for it and you're just like, no, I'm not gonna do that color?
No, pretty much how it goes now is like a designer will reach out to us, and we're at the point where I guess based on our track record, they have complete faith and give us zero guidance. And it's like, hey, here are the 4 Pantones, and then I kind of huddle together with our guy that does all of our, we all do Cerakote, and then we just are like, hey, which colors of the set should we use for this portion of the cable? Oh, we don't have it in the tech flex. What if we use this color in the heat shrink area? Well, that doesn't really match. And we kind of go over some iterations. We usually come up with an A, B, and C design and then try to submit that to the designer for approval. And then we do the photo shoot, and that's that.
There you go. Nathan Alphaman asks a great question, or a couple quick questions. What was your favorite key set collaboration and the hardest collaboration to execute? And I guess the third one, and the one we'll start with, is what are some of the collaborations that you've done in the past?
Let me just check something in chat real quick. Not here. Not here. Okay. Definitely Polybius with Nathan Alphaman. Yeah. So we are in week 3 of the 3rd key set right now, and Tyson's was kind of our segue into it with fundamentals, just classic set, kind of nod to the 90s style. But man, when I saw Polybius, he showed me it, and my first thought was like, and I'm talking, this is over a span of 5 seconds because my opinion quickly changed by, I want to say, the 10th second, where I was like, this set is actually really, really nice, in my opinion. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed the aesthetic of Polybius. And so, I really like that. And so I like running sets that are like Polybius, that are vibrant and loud, and then Dandy and Daisy, those base kits have a spot in my heart as well. So I don't know. For now, I'm gonna have to say Polybius. It did pretty well, I would say. So that's also a plus.
Yeah. And then I think it leaves so much room for creativity. Like did you see the archetype artisan that they did for Polybius?
That
Like
was
insane. Literally insane. That artisan is insane. Like it leaves some sets just hit differently.
I reposted that. I was so impressed by the artisan. I actually, Nathan will tell you, I messaged him immediately and I was like, I need this artisan. Like this is so nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. The colors work.
That guy could
Not
make
the
a living
best pad.
off of selling that artisan.
Dude, it was
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah,
just-
let me see. I'll try to grab it. It's on my desk, but this quite literally might be my favorite desk pad right now that I own. It's so stuck to my desk, but I really want to pull it up and show you. Light. It is
So,
this one right here, the
ooh,
Polybius carpet desk pad that Sour made. And
hell yeah.
yeah, I freaking love this one.
Dude, even like the Polybius cables that you did with like the splatter, such a cool like little touch, you know. It just
Yeah.
looks great with everything too. Like it doesn't even have to like 100% match. It's just cool little touch of color.
I have a picture that I would like to want to pull up, and I don't know. Is there any way for me to show a picture?
You can PM it to Osiris, and then he
Yeah,
can pull it up.
Okay, because
So
here, yeah, I don't have it in like a downloadable thing, but I'll just or like a link. But yeah, I'll just PM it to you.
yeah, Mech
And then
Mahler,
I'll,
you need to hold on to that bad boy. Either that or like trade it for someone's car. Like, you know, I see lots of artisans and some ridiculous prices on flips and stuff. I'm like, that one, that is one of the most, if not the most impressive artisans I have seen. Archetype's such a great dude,
yeah,
too. We
he's
need
a
to.
cool dude. I've
So I
been
think
meaning to
we were
play him
gonna
more
have him
nights.
on, but then scheduling gets. Whenever something happens where we have to make a reschedule, very rarely is it an easy like next up fix. Luckily, Lightning was very, not that other people are harder to work with, but luckily, we were able to move Lightning just because Texas was under a sheet of ice last week.
Wait, you had to move. You had to move Lightning around.
Yeah,
When did
he was
that
last week. He was last week. And Monday night, Osiris and I were like, and this is like the third time that we've tried to schedule Lightning. Like, just for whatever reason. And I messaged him, and Eric hit me up. He's like, we can't stream this week. I was like, I mean, yeah. Like, neither of us
Like
have
candlelight, and you're like, all right, guys, intermission.
All right,
I
guys,
gotta go
here's my
charge.
phone.
I gotta go charge.
Well, Chewy hit me up and he's like, I think we might need to cancel Tuesday. And I was like, I just messaged him. I'm like, no, we need to cancel the whole like Wednesday as well.
Week.
Like there is no way we are getting back. Let me
Yeah,
let me throw this picture up here.
but I hit up Lightning. I was like, so we live in Texas. And he was like, huh? Oh. I was like,
Oh,
oh. He was like, are you guys good? I'm like, we're good, but just I'll hit you up later for a
yeah.
reschedule. Hopefully that doesn't annoy you. And he's like, nope, you're good. Like, I get it.
I
So.
asked because he was supposed to be on Keepcast on Sunday, and I had to message him and reschedule.
He had a busy week that opened wide up. That's funny.
He's like, I have stayed home from work twice for these Texas streamers.
All right, I'm trying to do this real quick. I thought I had another scene set up where I could just switch and show it, but I'm just gonna throw it up in front of us. So this is the picture that you want to send. This looks sick with a little logo there. How do you do that with those detachable ends like that?
So yeah, here was the original concept, and I'll try to show you. It's one of the icons from Polybius, right? So it's on the desk pad repeating. It's a mod icon. And so I took the Illustrator file and created a stencil with like some high heat paper, and then it was so labor intensive that I like nearly immediately knew that this was not going to be feasible for the set cable. However, I pushed through it just because it was the first thing we've kind of delved in with stencil work and stuff. And so the process was I took the Illustrator file, I put it in our laser, I cut that shape out of some high temp vinyl paper. I'm looking at the desk pad right now, the green little rainbow portion on. I sprayed red with Cerakote. Then I put the the triangle on and took the green piece off. I don't remember. I did something. Anyways, it's like a 3-tone Cerakote using a stencil. So that was that. It was so damn labor intensive because I had to take tweezers and meticulously place this little rainbow. And then it's like, oh, it's not placed. Let me just move it. And now I'm like, okay, the Cerakote's smeared. This is great. Everything's fine. And so I was like, Nathan, I'm going to send you this, but we can't do this. I need to we're going to do splatter. This is infinitely easier.
And so y'all are doing all of those colored connectors there in house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, we're here in Austin. We have got a facility. Well, I guess now like two, and we've kind of have it divided so that one side of this facility is industrial with like lasers and Cerakote booths and ovens and like our fulfillment center area, and then the two adjacent units next door are more so where like the staff people are actually creating the stuff. There's like desks and tables and stuff like that set up, so they're like soldering and coiling and all that good stuff.
How big is the team now?
We are 10 full-time people. Yeah.
Damn, impressive, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
someone asked earlier, who's SViz asked, what is your friend who kind of started with the cables? He kind of didn't want to turn it into anything. What does he think now?
he was like at first he was like I didn't really share anything or like message him and or show him any of this. So he found out and he was kind of like, "Huh, okay, well, whatever." I'm not doing it myself, but I mean, we're still totally fine. We just went to dinner about 2 weeks ago to Longhorn Steakhouse, so we're
There
cool.
you go.
Yeah.
Yep. What was
Good that there's no bad blood.
Not at all.
What was that like growth like? That's crazy that because you've been at this for how long? Like not even like 2 years at this point, maybe just over 2 years. That's crazy to be at all the way up to 10 people. I know tons of different cable makers that are still just kind of slinging them out just themselves. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I bought the domain SpaceCables.net on May 1st of 2019. We went live for sales on June 1st. It was extremely slow. However, the planets aligned with the relationships that I created and the friends that I met, and I owe everything to the people I met and to Gary Vee for sure. I love that guy. He's so funny. Um, but I would say Alex, I literally owe like a very large chunk of my company to Alex. Equally, our other co-host on our show, Keepcast, would be Chase. I met him also at like sub 400 or 500 followers, and we were talking back and forth. And this is, I guess, how the accelerant started. Was I was actually like I was saying, I was doing my full time job, and I would come home and do the cables till midnight. It was kind of grindy. I was like kind of loving it, but it was kind of grindy. Like, why are you doing this? It's for these little coily cables. Like, I was like, man, it's fun. I get my roommate and like, hey man, can knock on his door. Like, will you hold this rod while I blow dry this, and then we simultaneously reach over and tape, and it was a process. And yeah, we started off, and trying to think exactly how this happened, the order in which it happened, but it was like me talking to Chase at first, and he was like, "Hey, man, I really like your stuff, and this guy named Bad Seed Tech's gonna hit you up here in a second. He should send you a DM." And I was like, "Bad Seed Tech, like Brian Phillips from YouTube?" And he was like, "Yeah." So sure enough, in about 5 minutes, I got a DM from him, and he was like, "Hey, man, checked out your Instagram. You've got some cool stuff." And I was like, "Thanks, man." And he was like, "Cool, have a good life," basically. And I was like, "Wait, wait, come back." And
Cable?
I was like, I was like, "Do you want a cable?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure. Can you do some custom stuff?" And I think this was right at the time where he was working a lot with Mechs, and I don't know if he had a falling out or something, because he was hardcore supporting them. And I had seen Mechs on YouTube channel and this video he had put out in March of 2019, and that was really interesting to me too. So I think that was like the first time I saw coiled cables was on his YouTube video. And I sent him the cable. It was atrocious. It was. I'm gonna describe to you. I think I may have mentioned this one time, like when we had him on our show, but I haven't told this to anyone else really publicly. But I was using like a PVC rod. I want to say like a 5/8 or a half inch PVC rod to do our coils at the time, and I didn't have an abundance of boxes. I want to say he was in like the first 10 cables I made. One is going to this man, this influencer on YouTube. So I don't know what I was doing. And so I coiled this cable around this PVC rod. I don't have an abundance of boxes. I look over to like, I don't know, a trash can box that I just ordered a trash can. And so I have this humongous box. And I'm talking like 20 by 20 by 20. Okay. And what I did was I took this cable with the dowel rod. I set it into the bottom of this box and I taped the portion that overextended on the sides of the coil to the bottom of this box. And I mailed this man an empty box, where in the bottom of it was just this coil with no packing paper or anything. And it was like I wonder if he thought it was like for comedic purposes, but like more embarrassing so it was like, I don't have a box that will fit this. And he didn't mention anything about it, weirdly enough, but he put it on YouTube and he was like, well, I guess before that he said, are you ready for your YouTube video? And I had no idea he had planned on doing that. I was just sending him one. And I was so nervous. And I was like, okay, man. And I was, you know what? I need to go check out more of his content. So I hit up his YouTube channel and I'm looking through his content and I'm watching him do a B-roll of a product review on like a gaming chair. And he's like got a 4K beautiful B-roll going over this. And he's like, you see this stitch right here? This is bullshit. Blah, blah. And like, he's like going off on it. He's like, this chair, even though it was sent to me for free, doesn't affect my review. It does not have my recommendation. This is like $1,000 chair or something. And I was like, I'm screwed. I was like, I just mailed him air with like a cable and on a PVC pipe with, and it, I used painter's tape to close the box. Like it's blue. Like it was blue on the outside of this Amazon box. And I was like, my career is over before it started. Like my little dabble in cables is done. And he praised it on YouTube. He was like, this is great. And here's what you can get with Space versus this person. And here's why I recommend this. And they could really work on this. But alternatively, in the end,
they could work on their shipping boxes.
They could eventually their shipping boxes would put them out of business if they keep going. So there's that. But
be prepared to spend a little money on shipping.
The box weighs like a quarter of a pound, but it says that it's like a 24 by 24 by 12 box. Like what?
Yeah. My moving box I used for your single cable. And by the way, you get to keep a free PVC pipe, I guess. Whatever you need that for.
Free lightsaber, man.
Yeah, so that was embarrassing. And he recently sent me a picture of that cable a year ago, and he was like, it was actually really nice. He was like, oh, check this out, man. Look at the cable you sent me this week versus this one. And I was like cringing. The cable was like, I can't even fit it on screen. It was like 27 inches long because the coil had like
completely
come undone. I was like, did you tow a truck with this? Like what? Like, no, it was bad. But yeah, it just snowballed after that. It was bad seed. And then we had worked with Frank P after that, had reached out to us, BT, and it just sort of perpetually snowballed. I quickly brought in some friends and we went from bedroom to garage quickly and inside of like a month or two. And then garage to warehouse happened in like 3 or 4 months. And in one day, the 25th of February will be our 1 year in the warehouse. So that will, yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Congratulations.
Yeah, dude. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Absolutely. It's cool. Our starting up of launching stuff is 1 month apart, actually, because we started April 2nd of 2019. So it's funny, and it's always interesting to meet people that started right around the same time that we did. Like at least with your content, and with what you're producing. And it's interesting. We talk about it a lot, but like I always think about whenever I talk to Mentorly, I'm always like, first conversation I had with you was trying to convince you that being on camera is not the worst thing in the world, and now you're partnered on Twitch as a Twitch streamer.
Claps for Nat.
Yeah, claps for Nat. I mean, of course. which I sent her. I think I told you this, Osiris. I sent her that stupid switch, and she's like, "Oh my god!" She's
Wait,
like,
is that the Walmart switch?
"No, those are the feckers. I made this
feckers?
dumb the feckers. Yeah, no, I figured out this stupid uh, combination. This Franken switch. It's a blueberry stem inside of a Moyu black housing, and it won't actuate unless you put like 100-gram spring in it. So yeah, it's dumb and silly, but hilarious. This is not a clicky switch.
This is
That's
very loud.
incredible. I
It's
like it.
super loud. I can't wait to build a board with it.
Dude.
It's very loud. Yeah,
Dude,
it's I don't recommend.
I do want to say though, it's awesome that you like stuck with it. I feel like cable, like streaming is. There's a lot of people that start up cables businesses, and they do them for a couple weeks, couple months, but they don't end up sticking with it. And it's really awesome to see people stick with it and not only be successful, but then kind of like innovate with what you're doing with um, the different colored connectors. Because I know other people had done the colored connectors before, but they weren't necessarily doing them themselves. Um,
Mhm.
and you're just like a legitimately cool ass dude. We had some other people that weren't like, where you're like, I don't really want to buy from this. Like,
Yeah,
Oh
so
yeah. Well, thanks, man. I mean, I would say that it's a combination of so many things. There is I'm lucky that stars aligned, stars and planets aligned, and I am sure that there are a ton of makers in the community that are fully capable of scaling and growing things, but life happens and stars just don't align and timing isn't right. I mean, it was like, okay, when you're starting something off, how do you approach it? Like, how do you get your first team member? You obviously like I would assume that if you started a small business right now, you would look to Osiris, Chewy, and you would say like, hey, I'm gonna reach out to you first, and
I
just
need
be like,
someone to bitch at people for me because I'm not confrontational. That's why we're the perfect team. Because
sure,
I come up with ideas, and Eric's like, "That's good. The rest are shit." Also, I'm gonna go yell at this guy because I know you won't. It works
there
out
you go. You
perfectly.
need one of those. A business needs one of those. But yeah, I would say that you get your friends first, right? And it just so happened that my older sister, who is a big chunk of who I owe my company to, is one of our main admins and creators. So she just runs, she keeps everything in line, and she just so happened to have been coming out of a job, and really like believed me in the beginning and was like, okay, I mean, I don't have a job, so like I'll do most of this, and I know you have your job, so I'll like help you with it. And quickly I got like another friend and then another friend, and then we got the first person that wasn't a friend. It was like a mutual. So that was like, okay, this is becoming something, and this is different now because we're seeing people that aren't like blood or like a friend that I've associated with for
Inside the
years.
circle, yeah.
Right. And which is fine. We're like the best family right now. Like I freaking love our team. It's so awesome. Yeah. It's just it's a combination of luck, timing, and just persistence. It's
Yeah.
nothing unbelievable whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that's the big one in this hobby with anything is persistence. Like you see, uh, I mean, it's hard. It's one of those things. We've talked about it before as well. But if you want to be where a lot of the people you see in the hobby are now, you you should have started like 2 years ago. It's the hobby, the 2018-2019 time frame was really the time to start a lot of things. And I'm not trying to deter anybody from doing that. If you want to make cables and you think you can be good at it, absolutely go make cables. Like
Please go
there
be a
is
maker of something.
so many people in this hot. There is absolutely more demand than there is production. And if you want to stream. There's no sense in not streaming, because if you think you're going to fail, then you are going to fail.
Yeah, I would
That's
say absolutely. Like, don't go into it having a mindset that kind of all of these upper people in the community have gotten to the top and blown the ladder up. You can find your space and have so much fun with it. Like,
Mhm.
I strongly encourage people to start content creation, get on Twitch, start making keycaps, make cables. It's so much fun, and if it's nothing else, it's therapeutic. If it's not a business, it's
Yeah.
fun.
that was one of the biggest things for us last summer is we kind of shifted. We've we didn't like overly focus a ton on like numbers and like things like that all the time, but it was always kind of in the back of our mind. But then we were both like, we started this because we wanted to have fun, because we enjoy keyboards, not to
Mm.
get to a certain point or to um, have a certain number of viewers. Like the viewers come, they come, right? Do
Yeah.
what you want. I had long conversations with Quakems and Top Clack about he wasn't happy with the direction that they were going, and he wanted to change, but he was afraid of like, if I do what I want to do, I'll be more happy, but then all these other people are going to be mad. It's like, dude, through all that, do it.
Ride or die, bitch.
It's like, yeah, it's like, do it for fun, you know? And like, don't forget about that, because once you forget about the fact that like once you forget the reasons that you started it, and if you start doing something with good intentions, whether it's building cables, streaming, really anything, uh, you're going to be a lot more successful, like mentally. You know,
Mhm.
you can
I
be
love that.
huge, but
I
if
I
you're
love
not
that.
happy, yeah,
Yeah.
That goes with like you the saying of chase happiness over success, because I hate people that say, I don't hate people. I hate the saying of people
It's
say,
okay to hate people.
it's a strong word. People that say, I would rather cry in my Ferrari when chasing, whether it's a life goal or a major in college or something. And I personally would rather make $24,000 a year and do something I
Yeah.
absolutely love than be horribly miserable doing something I hate.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be that I had done, or so.
Yeah. And it's, and it's, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. On top of that is, you know, the summer was great, but then after a while that we made some adjustments on Mechs on Deck, because neither of us were like, in particular to me, were
Mhm.
like super thrilled with where everything was going, because we just kept going. You can't compare yourself to anyone ever, and it's easy to do. It's really easy to do, especially on Twitch, because the numbers are there. And once like, I'll shout out Project Keyboard Help, and he's like, just don't look at the numbers. Never look at the numbers.
Mhm.
It's like, if you want to grow, like, look at it from a business standpoint. But if
Don't
you're
look at it
so
with emotion.
yeah, just look at it from like, okay, how did we do this month versus the previous month? And are people, and with streaming, it's always going to fluctuate, because if you're giving something away, you're going to see a huge spike. If we have a designer that's maybe not super well known on, we're probably not going to get a lot of viewers. If we have Nathan Kim on our stream, we're going to have a shit ton of viewers. Like, it's going to fluctuate. And I think once we realize that, it's like, I just hide the numbers now, because I'm like, whatever. Like,
Absolutely.
people are
And
here, and
yeah.
if I would rather stream to 5 people who are genuinely interested in our content than 100 people that don't say anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that, and I would scream that exact phrase that applies to many different things in life, and I would live by that entirely. Mm.
So
good for your mental health, because if you start overly focusing on it, and I've been a victim of that, you know, trying to do music stuff, just like working, like stressing myself out over sales. It's just like, you just get so stressed out and you just hate it, and you come home and you're like, I don't even know what to do anymore. Like,
That's how burnout happens. Yeah, no, it's
yeah,
not good, man.
Yeah.
It's not good for you.
And take breaks. Don't be afraid to, take smart breaks. Like, don't take a month off and expect you're going to go back right to it. But mental health is a big thing. We got a lot of people, a lot of the fun folks in chat. Archetypes here. I guess his ears were. Is it burning? I don't know the phrase.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
burning, or ears are burning? Your boy Chase is in here. See, and then Lux Cables is here. So we're just having a little Texas party. So it's fun. I'm excited. I'm excited for another Texas meetup, because there's so many people in Texas now. Whenever we started, it was like Tyson, us, and 001 Anthony, and everybody else was kind of like. And you had just started, so it was all like very small scale.
Mm-hmm.
And now that there's just all these people, it's like, oh shit! Like, the next meetup's gonna be lit.
Yeah. Man, I had told Tyson, so we moved into the warehouse, like I said, almost a year ago, and this was around the timeline of 2 weeks. I want to say it was like March 7th or 8th is when they announced the lockdown, right? Like somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And at this point, I had already been talking to Tyson about coordinating to do like some sort of meetup at our place. And we were like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. So that's definitely still on our books, is to do like a meetup over there. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Hell yeah. And Chase Dog, yeah, Osiris and I are both from Texas. We're in the Dallas area.
Northern part. I don't know.
And we could all agree that Houston is the worst.
Is Chase
Oh, no luck.
close to us? Yeah, he's in Fort Worth, right?
Yep. Hold the fuck up. That's only for those who don't know. There's if you either are from Dallas and hate Houston, you're from Houston and hate Dallas, or you're from anywhere else and hate both of them.
And you just think all the people in Austin are just like strange.
California.
Just California, and you're just these damn hippies.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. I have a couple shirts that say "Keep Austin Weird." I've got one. Okay?
It's kind of a rite of passage.
We're weird. Okay, the people in Austin are just different, man.
Yeah,
they're different
for sure.
So,
hippies.
Austin's it's a fun town though. I mean, I say town, it's a huge city, but it definitely has the small town feel, even though it's a massive city.
Mm-hmm.
I have bad memories out there because of South by Southwest and like trying to load in on like you can only stop the van and trailer long enough to like unload some of it, then you gotta like close it and drive around, and then like you stop for another like 5 minutes, and yeah, screw that.
Were you doing music related things?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick. What were you doing?
Both of us actually played shows at like South by Southwest.
What?
We did like a
separately,
label.
By the way.
Wait, what? That's even cooler.
We did.
You guys are on like sister stages, like just
not like they weren't at the same time.
Okay.
But because Osiris and I were in two very different styles of music.
I did like
this is a story. Please continue.
I did like a label showcase for Sumerian Records, and then for our management company, Third String Productions at the time. So we did 2 different shows in the same day, and then we played at the like pizza place, Death Metal Pizza or whatever, and then the Dirty Dog that's right there. So we played like 4 shows in 2 days, and it was just draining.
Man, that's really cool that you got to do that.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's super fun.
Ours wasn't as they were much bigger than we were, but also the metal scene in Texas is a lot bigger. So, but we just played one of those little like side stages, right, where it's just kind of there. It existed,
still there. That's still cool.
It was fun. It was exciting. I think Osiris and I both have the same feeling. It was cool. It was great. I did it. I'm done. I'm done. Okay.
Sure.
I'm okay. I very rarely look at it and go, man, I miss those days. Like, no, I'm good.
So Osiris was into the metal, and which genre?
I mean, it's just raw. Like, I think it was very similar to like Foo Fighters and like Kings of Leon, just like pretty standard, like
both good
like
bands.
Stadium rock, right? Like, I couldn't do the screamo. Our bassist looked like he had dreadlocks. It was goofy. Like, we were a very mishmash of humans because the drummer came from a very popular metal band, and I went and snatched him up because he's one of the coolest guys I know. And he went and played in a little more radio rock band for a while.
Who ironically I was actually in
a band with
him. We were in his first band together, which is funny. But yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of it because we worked together at Guitar Center, so there's a lot of I mean, Osiris and I grew up 5 minutes from each other, and neither of us realized it until in our early 20s. Yeah, it's one of those things.
Like currently where you are is where you also grew up?
Yeah, somewhat. I've moved further southwest. I'm in a different city, and Osiris is moved northeast.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, I did metal. It was a lot of fun. I toured for a couple years. I worked for some bigger bands, met a lot of cool people. It was a lot of fun. But it's one of those things when you're like gone so much that I literally got a letter to my parents that if I didn't come back to work at Guitar Center on like a certain day, I was gonna get fired. Um, yeah, it was like
that was a long day.
rough.
That was a
But
long email.
but yeah, it was fun. But it's one of those things you end up missing being home, and like
Mhm.
I had a
I
realization,
missed you.
dude. I missed you too, especially when I like quote unquote died for a bit when I got really drunk on Las Vegas and my phone got stolen. Um, but I had a realization of like I'm already, I think I was like 23 at the time, right? Still super young. And I was just like, I can't really do this. Like I'm looking at these other guys that we were on tour with Yellow Card. We were doing a tour with them, and the guys that were working for them were in like their late 30s. And I was like, man, I don't want to be in my late 30s and be touring, 6, 7 months out of the year and like not have a chance to have a family or like be home at all.
Mhm.
And so that's when it like kind of all worked out. Like I had a long realization after I came home of like, do I really want to do this anymore? I was like, no. And then I worked at Tarson for a little while and then ended up moving on to hotels, in which I was until COVID, and then now I have a different job. But yeah,
Yeah.
kind of a crazy
I remember
how it all
talking to you for a
happened.
long time about that because there was a point where I could have pivoted to do the let's take this on the road, and I didn't want to. And there was kind of a divide of like two of us were kind of like let's just be like Dallas, like let's just kind of stay because I had now been with my now wife for a year, and I was like I don't know what that's going to do to that relationship, and then I'd have to quit my job and all that other stuff. So you,
Stressful.
you kind of have to just look at it and go like, well, what do I really want? Like, and we did it. We're happy. It was all good. I got to meet a lot of cool people, but at that point, I just wish I'd gotten into photography because then streaming would have been so much cheaper. Like if I could go back in time right now, I would go straight back to 2014 and I just punch both myself and Eric in the face and be like, "Don't spend money on magic cards. Go buy some cameras."
Dude, if you told me that like 5, 6 years ago, when I was like in the middle of like, I was on a bus working for a band on tour, like that in 5 years, I would have a Twitch stream talking about custom keyboards, I would be like, you're fucking crazy, dude. Like,
Fuck
first
is
off,
wrong
what
with
is
you?
Twitch? Two,
Yeah.
like
What's a key?
custom
Is
keyboards?
that League of Legends video game
Yeah,
website?
dude.
That's when I first discovered Twitch, it was through my roommate and he watched Twitch constantly. And back then it was just like League of
Justin.
Legends and Dota.
Yeah. It was like Justin.tv and then it was
Yeah.
Twitch and yeah.
And he just watched League of Legends. So I just always it was like to me it was like, oh, Twitch is just where you go watch League of Legends. Like and I don't want to watch League of Legends. So
What would 5 years ago Reagan say to Reagan now? Like
to
what would
make
you
cables.
think about where you're at?
I don't know. Not making coily cables. That's
Colorful coily cables.
I have no idea. Yeah, I was doing something completely different 5 years ago. So you might as well tell me now, like, hey, in 5 years you'll be making artisan harmonicas or something. Like
Hey,
I don't know.
Dude, that'd be dope.
that'd be sick.
Kind of would be
Right?
dope. We should do that.
Right. Like let's get that going. Can you I wonder
Set up Salvin.
I don't know. I don't yeah, custom milled harmonicas. I
Yeah.
don't know. That'd be expensive, but I also don't know like the makeup of a harmonica to know that if you like Cerakoted a harmonica, would it like fuck up
No, it wouldn't.
like
It probably wouldn't work very well.
No, it would. It is
because I imagine what you blow through is not the metal part. Because from any harmonica I've ever seen, there's like
it's like reeds or something. Or
Yeah.
it's something.
don't Cerakote that. No.
Yeah. Doesn't got that part.
It might still work, but it would be like super muted, I feel like. Like it wouldn't would
Be interesting.
Jesse James harmonica.
there you go. What was it? Like colonial gray, or what was the color?
Eastern, not Eastern Front green, and what? Dude, those colors don't make sense. Some of them make great sense, and
So
some
damn
of them,
long, like wrapped around the side of the bottle, and I'm
right?
like, what is this? Why is it so long?
But guys, if you have questions for Space Cables, by all means, I have another question for you. So it is obviously there are so many great cable makers in this hobby. How, what do you find yourself, trying to differentiate yourself from other cable makers, and what are your relationship? Obviously you hate Lux cables. I can see the tension. I can feel it. I get this in-state rivalry. Like, I understand that, but like, what are your relationships with other cable makers? And I know a lot of designers, like keyset designers, will talk a lot, and keyboard designers will often talk a lot. What's the cable life like?
Fair question. That's actually a very good question. Thought out. So I've always wondered this because, like, I would say, as far as cable makers, like Lux and I talk. I think his brand is it's so funny. Like, I don't know if you guys see his like Twitter shit posting, and like his stories are funny. But I'd say I'm like neutral with all the cable makers. We're not necessarily throwing down like, yo, what up, dude? That cable's looking sick. But we're neutral. Like, I definitely follow a lot of the cable makers, and we talk from time to time. I would think with like artisans, it's a little different. Like, I feel like that sort of community is like, hey, you want to collab on this, or like check, or I want to buy some of yours. Like, I feel like you don't see me or like other cable makers being like, yo, I want to buy one of yours, because it's like I could quite literally
Make
supplies and make that cable that I would, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas like an artist's take on like a resin cap that has like a certain mold that is their own design or something else is like more unique and warranted of like sharing, in my opinion. Um, yeah, that's a great question.
Are there things that you see another like cable maker do where you're like, all right, now I got to either do that or I got to figure out how to one up that?
I don't know if there has been a singular trend that has made me really scratch my head or put time into like innovation. The main thing that I think is an innovation in cable making is availability. Um, like, you don't see, I guess you're seeing it more so often now, but there wasn't like continuous group buy cables for some of these sets coming out that could run and be purchased concurrently to that set running as in like an official collaboration. Um, so I don't know, nothing. There's not someone that's like, oh, I did this where I used this that's very much so distinguishable from this. This sets me apart in this way. I don't know, like nothing like too major like that. Pretty much everyone does the same stuff.
Mhm. I do have to ask, do you use the clamps that Zap started selling?
I do not know.
No, I was curious. Um, so let's see. We got a couple questions. Any plans on offering different types of connectors? YC8, Limo, XLR, etc. This is from Archetype Keycaps.
Oh yeah. So first of all, what's up, Archetype? We were talking about your beautiful Polybius cap among your other beautiful caps, and I know we talked about playing a game, so we need to do that in the near future. So plans to, it was about other connectors, YC8, Limo, XLR, etc. Man, I'll be honest with you. I made a mistake with the XLRs. So I purchased 20, and they're quite expensive when speaking on bulk connectors, and they were great. And then I purchased an amount that I do not want to say on stream in these connectors. And I don't know if it's the quality or the milling, or if they're doing like cast aluminum or some sort of like process where you have a mold and you're pouring this like molten aluminum into it to create it, and therefore the tolerances are just not great because they're reusing molds. Long story short, the XLRs like mate in not that attractive of a way. Like, it's, I don't know if you are familiar with mini XLR cables, guys, having used them, but in the way that they mate, there's some bad eggs, there's some good eggs, but it's not.
It didn't quite work.
They're
No,
not
it's
very durable.
Yeah.
they feel like a different version of an aviator. Like if you just squished an aviator, that's about the quality you're getting. It's not like anything groundbreaking. My issue is when you push them in, they go about 90% of the way, and in the last 10%, you have to apply double the force that you initiated the mating with, and it feels ugly. Whereas Limos, it's almost like it's a progressive linear, and or actually in reverse, it's almost like it's getting easier as you're mating. Like it's a very satisfying click.
Yeah.
So XLRs, I've got an ungodly amount that are available for sale should you want to make your own cable with them, but I'm not going to offer them and put my team through that again because they were big mad. Limo, yes, they have huge lead times. I'm trying to do it. I really want to focus on getting our other group buys stuff out and not try to just sell more product before we have everything currently in queue just pushed out. I don't want to like upset anyone with these innovations when we're not, ahead of the game right now with what we're putting out. YC8s, hundreds of those. I have tons and tons and tons and tons of those. I just have they've literally been in boxes for 6 months. I just haven't used them at all. We use them with OmniType for the 8008 group buy, and one more. I don't remember, but we will offer them in the future. Yes.
Nice.
Oh, sleeves. That was it. He start just posted that. Yeah, it was the sleeves collab we did for Mr. Nathan.
Mini XLR cables are the bane of my existence when I was touring, because like every wireless system uses mini XLR connectors, and they're just not good. They are just not.
I actually have one right here. Did you use this type?
Yeah, with a little button.
Yeah. This type?
Yep.
Yeah, they're not good. Not the best.
Not ideal.
Very secure when plugged in, but
yeah,
but not good for regularly plugging in and unplugging. It's literally designed to just sit there.
So long as you don't need to unplug it.
Chase.gg, your boy, asks a really good question that I'm interested to hear your answer for. How long are you going to be SpaceCables? Will you become space with lots of underscores, or is there another plan branch out past just cable?
I would like to say, first of all, it's funny that Chase brings this up because he's the one who initially, behind Space Holdings, remember what I told you there was that story?
Yeah.
He is the one who initially was like, look, man, you need to, if you're selling other things or you're planning on doing it, you need to come up more with an umbrella rather than just cables. So I started many months back and got the domain spacekbd.com, and more so on Keepcast lately, we've been shortening it to like space versus SpaceCables on stream, is because while we are nearly exclusively known for cables as far as our SEO goes, we're slowly branching. We're doing desk pads. We're doing acrylic products. We're about to launch a ton of acrylic keyboards, PCBs, a plethora of things. And so it for SEO reasons and for brand reasons, it doesn't make sense to be SpaceCables. So Space Holdings was there, and Space KBD is there, and probably a few more just redirecting domains for that matter soon. So I'd like to just shorten it to Space and then something, but maybe that's KBD, maybe that's something else. But for now, we're just SpaceCables.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, it's important to. I love that you're branching out, and it's obviously incredibly important to not put yourself in a corner, and get yourself kind of like how Hollywood will typecast people. It's like you don't or when we discussed the name for Mechs on Deck, we thought for a good bit about like how to avoid, like, one, if we wanted to transition into mech mods on like vaping, like that's always on the table. Or if we wanted to get like really into like robots and anime, like,
we could start.
Those are always.
We could start a huge Gunpla.
Yeah, exactly. Like but it's we talked for a long time about like what can we do that encompasses what we want, but not, not like Chewy and Osiris build keyboards.com, like, where
I love that.
I need to go get that domain. Chewy and Osiris build keyboards.com. But yeah, it's naming's tough too, man. Naming's a weird. I still like my idea for Thok Talk, but if you hadn't figured out, Osiris named Mechs on Deck.
Transition.
He
sent me Thok Talk, and I was like,
no,
dude.
There are no bad ideas in brainstorming.
Sure, but that sounds like could be for something very, very different that is also very not safe for work.
Some incognito mode shit. Only Thoks. I do like that. That's a good one.
Incognito, yeah.
Yeah, JMK incognito. But let's see. I know we had. Yeah. I know we had at least one more that I saw. Oh, yeah. I imagine a joke, but when are you going to hire Alex full time and move him to the space compound?
So that's actually a thing.
There you go. Well, thought it was a joke, but moving on. How are we going to get Mr. Alex Odos to Texas?
So apparently, right now, Canadians can come into the States, but States can't go into Canada.
Canada.
I often call it Canada as a joke, so that's where that stems from.
I've called it not as a joke, but just me not knowing how to talk correctly. I'll just say Canada.
So I have offered that to him and let him know that I'll quite literally, carve out an office and looks. Okay. So I have offered, like joking aside, I have offered Alex a spot in here, as well as Clavier, as cringe and brand ruining as Clavier is sometimes. He is my silent, not so silent business partner for now 13 months. So I have fully offered him to come move into my house. I was like, we've talked about this, and I was about to buy him a plane ticket. But I was like, look, I've got a guest bedroom upstairs with us. I can get you a spot in my fridge. You can have a dedicated shelf, dedicated pantry shelf, free commuting to work every single day. I'll get you your own laser. Like, you can just be the CEO of plastic, and we can hang out. He already is like the CEO of plastic. I mean, that's just a joke and call him that. But so that was going to happen. But apparently, Europeans can't travel to the United States, unless they're married. So then we considered that. But then
it's quite a risk. Quite a risk.
Yeah, we'd obviously both for each other's sake have to sign prenups, and it just doesn't.
Yeah, it's awkward, right?
Yeah, come on. And then that would be a thing.
It gets messy. Alimony becomes a thing. Then you have to worry about currency transitions, and it's like, yeah, I get it.
Child support.
So when is Alex moving down? Because we should make that happen. Like I want to take him to I will drive down to Austin just to take him to a Western clothing store, get him in full Western gear with that stash, the cowboy hat and everything, the chaps, the spurs, and I need that. And Alex, I think Stream needs that.
Straight up lives in Austin. Like that mustache, you put him in his normal tank top with his tattoos. He looks like a freaking...
Yeah, you would never guess he's from fucking Canada.
Until he says, hey. Yeah. And then you're like, okay. Yeah, there he is.
You're like, oh, are you saying that ironically? Like he would start the trend of people in Austin saying, hey.
Dude, he'd be right at home. Streamers they're all in Austin right now. Everyone's moving down to Austin.
Dude, anytime I click on an esport player's profile, it's like Austin, Texas.
Even what's it like with Tom Segura and their family and the podcast to Austin.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan recently.
Elon Musk.
It's popping. It's popping. Maybe Elon can fix our power grid. So- but
Please.
the Texas rent is it's not bad. If just know that if it gets below a certain degree, you won't have power. Switch to solar. So, but it's very cool to see how it's been going from okay, I sell cables and then I sell a handful of other things to now being well, now I sell GMK and now I do other like how is that growth of branching away from cables? How has that been?
So scale is a great thing and it's a very scary thing because there is no crystal ball. And when me having never ran a business but been in management roles and kind of understand the skeletal aspects of company stuff, I made a decision and I was like, I am going to put all my eggs in one basket, take a risk, and sign a long lease on a commercial spot. And you know what? We're just going to go full send and see what happens. And I knew, and I was like, what if it gets to the point where like everyone and their mother and neighbor have a cable? I knew like it was in the back of my head, and I'd always be like, don't even think about that right now. Like let's just keep making cables. And I quickly realized that you need to just diversify. Like
Mhm.
it makes sense. I want to do other stuff. I am a consumer of some of these things that I'm purchasing. It just makes sense. There's like you said previously, the demand just outweighs the supply. I'd like to thank Tyson for getting me into the keycap sets. He approached me randomly, which when GMK and sets weren't on my radar, and was like, "Hey, do you want to run this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And that started more, I guess, happening immediately afterwards. Um, but yeah, I just sort of knew we need to start moving on to stuff. With I guess about a month after we got into the warehouse, so this is now like 11 months ago. Somehow, Mr. Clavier convinced me to get a laser, and he was like, "Look, you get a laser, not that big of a deal. I'll get you some files. We can start making keyboards." And I was like, "Great, this is going to take 2 months." And we're coming up on a year since I paid the invoice on this laser, and I haven't put out a keyboard yet. But it's happening.
coming.
It's happening next month. The keyboards are coming next month. But yeah, so that almost immediately I knew when we got into this warehouse, hey, start thinking for the future. Let's sell some different products.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's cool to see you kind of going, oh, I'm gonna run this because I feel like I wouldn't. I'd be happy owning, but I feel like I would hire someone outside that would like I've worked with enough people that I'm like I would go get that person to run day to day. I'm much better if someone goes, you do this, like let me focus on X. And I can manage people. I've been a manager before, but I'd much rather put that in the hands of someone else so that I can focus on like my thing. And that's just mad respect because not everyone can do that. Not everyone can just kind of go like, I'm going to make some cables on my free evenings to now I run a business and I have 9 employees that I have to and continue to make products and run this business. Like that's just like I applaud you and
Oh,
indefinitely.
it's I don't know, it's just so much fun. Like I talked to Jay at Top Clack, or I guess since I work with him, I'm more so referred to him as prototypist versus Top Clack Jay. He's prototypist Jay, and we're on the same wavelength in that like I do not cut myself a paycheck whatsoever. I wake up every single day so excited to put on my shoes, shower, and just get to work. It is literally exciting to get to work, and that is way more so what I live for than anything else in this entire community. It's so much fun scaling it up. But like I was saying earlier, scale is also like, do I overextend? Do I underextend? It's a fine line of how
Mhm.
to play this because you could kill yourself on accident. You could not do, you could get behind in work. You could not have enough work, and it's a very hard fine balance to capture.
Mhm.
So
I've talked to other vendors, and they all say the same thing. Whenever you start adding new products, different things, you start going into another thing that you're looking to offer. Um,
mhm.
there's always the scare of like if this fails and I invest a ton of time and money into getting this and it just completely falls flat on its face, am I going to be able to sustain that? But
Mhm.
sometimes, like you said, when you put it all on the line and sign the lease for the commercial space, like you just got to say, fuck it. Like, I'm just going for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I felt like I was on the edge of a cliff, and I think that to anyone that's it, subjectively, at least in my own life, that would have been a scary decision. But I had just listened to I'm talking at my previous leading up to this now SpaceCables job it was zero music time in the car, zero time at home. It's podcasts, it's business podcasts, it's how to do this, how to achieve this on social media. I mean, I was like obsessed to just casual listening to that kind of stuff with no business plan in my mind. I was like, man, if I ever started a business, I sure would start to try to do some of these things, but never crossed my mind. I was just like obsessed with listening to that stuff. And yeah, that was that. That helped a lot. That kind of pushed me off the edge, and it was like, take the risk, sign this lease, and it was very very scary to do
Mm.
that, to quit the job and sign a lease.
I mean, that would probably be the biggest. We've talked about. It was actually funny. There was a time where I was going to switch off of my full time job and go into subbing, and I'm glad I didn't because coronavirus hit and subs obviously lost all their jobs. So it definitely changed my perspective on things, but it was definitely like kind of a nerve wracking time because I was like, I don't know, like what is this now, and it's awkward with two of it because once right before when those discussions happened, they happened about this time last year, and we were like, well, what do we do? We've got to start producing 10 times more stuff if I'm going to be doing this as a part-time job. And
Mhm.
honestly, coronavirus gave it a lot of perspective because then it's like, okay, insurance, like insurance is expensive. And if you have a bad month, like what if it's something to don't think about with streamers is like, so apiary just did the subathon. We're probably not going to hit our normal sub numbers because a lot of people went to apiary and did a lot of their subs and gifted subs are going to go over there. We're not mad about that. That's great that apiary was able to achieve that goal, but there's only so big of that slice of pie. And especially when you start crossing viewership, some people are going to go, oh, this is great, I want to support this person this month, and that's fine, and they'll still watch it. But if there's a subathon, numbers start kind of dipping across the board, and then the next month those numbers go back up, and so it's like, well, we have to continue to grow and you have to keep making money. And it's a wild ride. And
Absolutely.
and then of course, but once coronavirus hit, I was like, cool, so I'm not doing that because I like insurance and a stable job.
Yeah, that's definitely a perk. That's an example, like you just mentioned, of things out of your control
Mm-hmm.
affecting income or schedule or whatever else. So that's definitely a scary factor that has to be considered.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things, like, you almost need to have one of those like crossroad decisions where you just say fuck it, go for
Not on
it.
my watch.
Thank you, Lux Cables,
Mhm.
for the 3 months. Appreciate that. Like for me, it was, I dropped out of college to play music, and it was like, it's like, all right, I'm dropping out of college. My dad was like, all right, if you drop out of college, you can't live here anymore. Like we're not going to continue to support you. Like you're basically saying you're gonna do it on your own. It's like, yep, I'm gonna do that.
I
And
love that.
then it's just like it was one of those things like that's while I look back and I'm like, what would have happened if I would have continued on college and gone to the University of like Oklahoma and stuff, and where would I be at now? But I'm like, I'll never like regret making that decision because of all of the people that I met doing music. I wouldn't be sitting here right now because I wouldn't know Dave, I wouldn't know Chewy, I wouldn't like this wouldn't be a channel because I wouldn't have really been at Guitar Center still, you know. Uh, so yeah, a lot of those kind of decisions where you're at that crossroads. sometimes it's good to just like take the plunge, even if it doesn't 100% work out. It may lead to something else that's
Mm,
even better.
Absolutely. I
yeah.
would say that a decision like that is on the level of, I don't know, a ton of other hard. That's a very, very hard decision that you made there.
Yeah.
But, and whether good or bad, I think that people of all ages, but really like younger people, should take risks like that in their 20s when they're young adults. And, if it fails, you have the rest of your life. What would suck
Exactly.
is to not do something that you want to do and go this whole amount of time and decide, later in life, hey, I want to do this, and then have that fail. That's a little bit harder, because you've lost all of this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, like I said, guys, if you have any more questions for Mr. Space, um, ask away. Hit at Mechs on deck just so it's easy for us to tag. Came for a keep stream, stayed for the life advice. It's tough. And then I mean the other thing too, it's a lot of decision. Like it is funny. I might have to like type this up, like a small history of the first 6 months of Mechs on Deck and how much everything changed and what the original plan was and then how it evolved so quickly. Because I was super against streaming. I was super against a lot of things. I didn't want to be tacked down to a schedule. Like I didn't want to. And then after just a couple conversations and a couple brief experiences and meeting some people, it just like quickly evolved. Like it seemed like it's like the whole content creation thing kind of flipped upside down. It was like, oh, and then it happened again. Like it happened like right around the time coronavirus hit. It happened again. You're like, oh shit! Like, this hobby is so strange. How it's able to support all these very weird things. This hobby, I feel like, has put thousands and thousands of people in the awkward situation of, so what do you do? Like, it's like, how much? No.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm interested. What do you tell people when they ask you, what do you do for a living? Like,
Uh, this is case to case basis. It definitely depends on the person, but I'll usually just sum it up and say something generic like cable manufacturing, electronics manufacturing. Just sum it up, and that's like quick, casual. Like I'm
Yeah.
talking, you're in the line of McDonald's and someone asks you. If it's someone like a friend that may not be in the hobby, I'll go into depth and I'll say, hey, we make cables, 4 mechanical keyboards, 4 people in this really narrow. So you
Yeah,
take,
'cause you have an extra layer you have to describe. You're like, okay, well, first off, there's mechanical keyboards, and if that hasn't lost you already,
the transmission means from the keyboard to the computer. We provide that
yeah, we provide.
in an aesthetic way. Do you need it?
That's-
No.
do you ever like play it up big? Like you're like you're trying to impress someone. You're like, oh yeah, I'm
Oh
the
no,
owner
dude! I
of like
downplay
a
it
tech.
so hard, so hard. I'm like, yeah, like we make cables, man. Um, yeah, like I don't upsell it at all.
You don't pull out like, yeah, I own a tech company. We're doing pretty well.
Holding my Starbucks and like my Alex Oto's jacket, and I'm like, yeah,
Got the AirPod Pros in. We're like,
yeah.
I get because I work in elementary school, so I have to explain to like middle-aged women. They're like a keyboard, like a music keyboard. And
Oh, that yeah, I get that all the time.
I'm like,
They're like,
no,
oh, I love music, and I'm
they're
like,
like typing. And I'm like, you know what? Come by my room real quick. And let me just show you. And then they pick it up and they're like, why is it so heavy? And then they drop it on the desk. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Like,
no, or do you hit them with the like, are your hands clean?
no, because well, luckily right now they have to be, right.
Okay, I guess so.
yeah, right. Thanks.
Well, then the other thing too, it's very interesting. I get put in a very particular spot because a lot of children want to be Twitch streamers. A lot of children want to be YouTube content creators. And being someone, and I hear them scream at each other, well, I have 15 followers, well, I have 20 followers, and like I'm huge, I have 40 followers. And I'm like, we just hit 1,000 YouTube followers. We've been doing this for 2 years. We thought YouTube's the one thing that we thought we would have done better, I think. Jeff's Battle Station,
Dude.
thank you for the huge raid. Awesome. Thank you very much. But you know, these kids will be like, yo, like, like I try not to I try and give them as minimal information so they don't fucking come find me. But you know, they're like, oh yeah, it's easy. I'm like, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna play Fortnite. Like, good luck. Like, let me tell you how many concurrent viewers you need to have every single stream 4 times a week, just to be able to afford a standard apartment with decent internet in this city. And then they're like, it shuts them up real fast. And yeah, like, yeah, it's like, it's a very interesting perspective to be on that side of like, how do you know this? I'm like, because I do this and I know how much my money make. I wouldn't be able to do this full time. And that's there's 2 of us. So like, I can't, you know, it's like we have to split the money, you know, we have to split the money. So it's, granted, we don't, it's very rare that Osiris and I are like, I'm going to pay my electric bill with this.
It's funny you say specifically Fortnite because what's funny is Chase actually manages a bunch of like really high profile, these like million follower gamers. Like he runs all their socials for like a bunch of guys and like 100 Thieves and stuff like that. And so he's he's in the know about streaming and like Fortnite and all that stuff. And yeah, it's kind of hard to find your spot in that community. It's just probably more so because it's very competitive and a bit saturated. So you really gotta
just, I mean, even keyboards is becoming more and more saturated. I see more and more streamers. We've talked about streamers getting burnt out, and then, you know, one person. Not that I don't want to, in any way, shape, or form, give off the vibe that we have helped her in any way. But Basic came and talked to us for a while about like, okay, like, you know, what, like, how did you grow, all that stuff, Basic builds. And she's great on her own. And this conversation had nothing to do with her rise to being a great content creator. But it was like, you got to find your, even now, you have to find your niche. You have to find your little pocket. You know, our pocket was, well, no one interviews people right now. Now other people do, and that's great. That's awesome that there are enough people, but you have to find that little niche. And then the other person who helped a lot was Alex Odos, which is, on top of finding your niche, you need to like create your person and then sell. Like, people aren't coming for the content. People don't care about the keyboard on the desk. You shouldn't care what the keyboard's on the desk. People are coming for you. So
yeah, it's all about personality. Like, that's why people like Tim the Tap Man's not a great video game player. Like, he's pretty good, but he's not like, you can watch tons of other people that are way more highly skilled than Tim the Tap Man. But you know what you don't get from those other players? Tim is fucking hilarious.
And he is honestly one of my favorite streamers on the entire platform. Like, he could be watching paint dry and I would be dying laughing. Like, oh, I just want to say, Katana, what's up, Frank? How's it going, man? That's a good guy right there.
Jedi Junior's here. Jedi Junior is, I'm so excited for her to start streaming. I will continue to shout her out days and days. But no, thank you again, Jeff's Battle Station. Guys go. I mean, half of you are here from him, so you probably are already following him. But go check out Jeff's Battle Station. So what can we expect moving forward? Obviously, we've got a potential laser cut keyboard coming out very soon. You should definitely ship us one, as it would be there it is. Just, you know, just pop it in the mail. It'll be here by Friday. I'll meet you halfway. Let's meet in Waco.
We'll meet in Waco. Let's meet in Waxahachie.
Yeah, Waxahachie. We'll get some beef jerky and just party it up.
Meet at the check stop, dude.
Yeah.
Easy. Look at this art that Alex designed. Let me see here. You can't really see it.
Ooh, there it is. Nice. Very, very Moon Tower vibes.
So
I like it.
It says Stellar 65, yeah, and then it says Space and Clavier like right here. But yeah, he made that in Illustrator. Alex did all of our packaging and anything else we're ever going to do. Also, our stickers. Alex is space. Okay. Yeah.
But what else can we? Dandy's still going on.
Oh, yeah. So let's see. We currently have sets through Q3, but I can drop some leaks for the next 3, and we haven't even posted about this at all. I don't even know if we're tagged as a vendor on these sets yet. And I don't know if I should even say it, but I'm gonna say it. Let's see.
What are they gonna do?
I have to make an announcement. Hey guys, I'm no longer running this set.
Blame it on us. It's all good. We can take it.
Yeah.
So next month is going to be GMK Nightshade with Blind Assassin, and then
go by that. We are big fans of Blind Assassin around these.
Oh yeah, I met him for the first time at that Austin, Texas meetup that Chandler and Tyson put together.
When I met him in person, he just pointed at me and yelled "Chewy," and I was like, I have no idea who this guy is. He's like, it's me, Blind Assassin. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I met him and like a couple. I met a ton of guys. It was awesome. But wait, I'm like, oh yeah, blanking. Key sets. April is GMK Wasabi round 2 with our boy Sour. Sour and I are working on a set right now too, which we're in like the very early design phase. Alex and I are, ping-ponging around designs right now too. May is going to be GMK Deepwell by Tyson. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's a deeper version of Honeywell.
I've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing. I think I saw this on the Texas Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I like that one. June is going to be GMK Pacific, and then I think we'll just say till June for now. There's a couple more sets confirmed, but I'm not. Well, I'm not going to say.
So, well, that sounds super, super awesome, exciting. Super awesome, exciting. That just my brain is fried from the last 2 days. Well, guys, I want to give a quick shout out to our awesome sponsors. Starting off with OmniType. You can go hit up OmniType. Last couple days left on GMK 2Z, a great purple themed set. So be sure to check out GMK 2Z as well as some other awesome products on their website. You also can head up canonkeys.com/Mechs on deck. You can get the Onyx keyboards running just a little bit longer. The Icky 68. I've not personally gotten a chance to get to type on this. We have not received one or anything like that, but it looks to be a really, really great board. And the that layout is, I know a lot of people really enjoy that layout, as well as GMK Birch. Some desk mats are on there, switches, lots of great stuff. Project keyboards, you go to mechsondeck.project.link. They've got GMK Astral coming out soon, a very, very nice kind of bluish purple set. So great stuff coming out there. And our awesome partners, Zap Cables, makes amazing cables. It's also got some of the coolest desk mats and some other cable making items that can help make your cable making easier. Type Beast, you can go to typebea.st. He's going to be running Mech Madness. I keep in my head, I say March Madness, and then I'm like, flip it. But then if in my head I say Mech Madness, I flip it and almost say March. Anyway, Mech Madness 2021. That will be starting up very, very soon. So be sure to check that out. And Smith and Rune, with the Iron 165 SE, the standard edition, coming out very soon, I believe this weekend. So be sure to check that out as well. That will be running through Canon Keys, which you can see the link up there.
Well, we haven't actually had a chance to do this question in a while, so I'm excited to ask these final 2 questions that we used to end every interview stream, but it feels like it's been a while. What is your favorite and least favorite thing about the community right now?
I don't know. I feel like there's an easy answer for both of these things. Like there's for sure an easy answer is thing I don't like long lead times. And the thing that I do like is the opposite of that. A lot more items being readily available.
Yeah.
For sure. There's going to be a midpoint for vendors and manufacturers like GMK and I don't know, other keyboard manufacturers to I don't know. It's a sweet spot with them, man. It's like if you overscale and you get too many machines for GMK and then sets slow down and now you've got too many. I don't know. Like there's a challenge there, but I am liking a lot the in stock items coming about more and more. I know that that's personally what we're being centric about is fronting more capital to get things in stock and just sell it like that because that's what we're gonna do. We're like we're doing all these in stock. It's easy. Everyone hates group buys. You guys hate group buys. So
Group buys are dead.
Literally
In
had a
stock
title yesterday.
items.
they're not going anywhere, but they do suck. I think
Yeah,
everyone can agree.
they're not. As someone who has run group buys and planning on running more group buys, it is a long. It's like not ordering paint for a room you want to paint a different color, or like waiting for a desk to show up and you're still on an old desk and you're just like, like
Yeah.
as a runner, you don't feel complete. You're like, I have something that I'm like, people are waiting and expecting on something from me, and I want that to be here, and I want to fulfill that. And a lot of parts of group buys are not in your control.
No, and like now more so than ever, I mean, you would imagine shipping is getting faster and faster every single day with like Amazon Prime. We're all in the Amazon Prime phase. I can order toothpaste and it's literally arrived within 12 hours before for me. Stuff like that. I don't know. It feels like the shipping's getting better, but like keyboard parts are still like kind of crazy. So it's good to see these vendors coming together doing in stock stuff. And like last night you were showcasing, I forget the website. Was it like
Kinetic Labs?
No, well, yeah, Kinetic Labs. That's they're great. The
Stock stuff.
collectively showcasing Thought
Yeah.
Talk.
Fuck
Okay.
stock.
Thought Stock. Yeah, that makes.
It sticks in your brain.
Yeah, that sounds like a podcast. Doesn't sound like a
Exactly.
like a store.
Lang
Yeah.
and I have talked about doing a really dumb podcast called Thought Talk. Just a really, really out there dumb podcast.
Yeah, I love Lang's streams. Like
No,
anytime I join, he's like, "Hey, girl." I'm like, "What's up, dude?"
we have to like I said, he's one of my closest friends. He's our third member of Mechs on Deck. We find ourselves competing with him to do stupid shit that we think is funny and like do funny things. And I have to like with the Fecker switches, when we found out we could buy Holy Panda clones on Walmart, I had to purposefully hide that from him. And I mean, you've got a best friend, so every now, like if you're like planning something that's a surprise and you're like, all I want to do is plan this, tell him. But I'm like, I can't because he streams on Friday.
It's
And
a content race.
Yeah, you kind of have to race for the content. And the shit that we talk about, like, I'm just like, you almost have to be careful because he's so quick. He's so good at doing stuff like that. That I'm like, God damn, he beat me too.
Yeah, no, he's good people. I like Lang. He helps me out because
Like the tie-dye sweatpants.
like the tie-dye sweatpants. Yeah, we were trying to color match Cafe for this kind of custom commission for this influencer, and he shipped me GMK Cafe to color match it with Cerakote.
Sounds like Lang.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, you're awesome. That was super cool.
It's great. So, and then last up, The Office or Parks and Rec?
So I've seen all of The Office. I've seen about a season of Parks and Rec. So far in between. Man, I'm gonna say The Office. I'll say it.
Who doesn't like it just running constantly in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we get a Space 65 already ran, dude? People say that all the time. They're like, when's the Space 65 coming out? We are not Gray Studios. So
that is not your keyboard.
Yeah. What's funny is I was talking to Alex the other night. Alex and I are like designing a board right now. Like a metal board, a CNC board. and we haven't told anyone, but I had this idea that on April Fools, I'm gonna post the board that will actually become a board, but it's gonna be like, "Hey, at Gray Studio, since you guys decided to make the Space 65, we're gonna be introducing the Gray 65," and then so we're just gonna troll that. We'll rename it, but like that's probably gonna be a thing that happens.
Excited for that.
That'll be fun.
You know what I'm also excited for is that I've just decided what I'm going to name my stream on Saturday. It's going to be Messing with the Feckers.
Messing with the Feckers.
Because
Dude, why not Meet the Feckers?
Meet the
Meet the
Feckers. Even better. Even
Meet
better.
the Feckers.
Meet the Feckers. And we're going to be messing with these switches from Walmart on Saturday at noon Central Time, or as I like to call correct time.
Correct time.
So come hang out with us Saturday at noon. We're gonna be messing with the Feckers. We're gonna be meeting these Feckers, and it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna try to make them better than they are. We'll see.
Exciting. I'm actually curious to see that.
So, well, thank you, SpaceCables, very much for coming out. I'm very excited to continue to see all the awesome stuff that you bring. This new keyboard, I'm excited for to see the in stock stuff. Thank you very much for taking the time. I'm glad you've thawed out and gotten up and operational again. I'm sure that was a weird few days for you guys. So,
No pipes busted. We're good.
there you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having me. I super appreciate it.
Of course,
Absolutely.
man.
Check out his website if you don't know. It's spaceholdings.net. Go pick up GMK. It's Dandy and Daisy, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 bass kits. Pick up some cables. If you get Birch from Canon Keys, you can get a cable for Birch. Dude, do it.
Boom.
Go buy
Easy.
If there we go.
Easy wins. So, who we're gonna raid? We got at the moment we've got Andy Wynn and Mentorly. Who we rating? Space.
Oh my gosh.
Who we rating?
My brain was going. I feel so stupid because we have the same conversation on Keepcast, and I was like literally about to leave my lips. I was like, Mechs on Deck is streaming, but I was like, that for about 2 seconds that crossed my mind. Lulsax is on too. Ryan, he's a pretty cool guy. He's let's see, Wristbreaker JWK Pewters build stream. Oh, it's a Bisarami Wristbreaker. Nice. Okay, maybe Lulsax.
Lulzax, like,
Let's do it. Get taken care of.
Yep. So yeah, guys, be sure to stick around and check it out on Saturday at noon for Osiris's stream. I might pop in, say hello in some voice chat. But honestly, after this week, I think I might just sleep for 24 hours straight. But again, SpaceCables, thank you. And good luck in all future ventures.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Buy a switch tester.